Welcome, Ida, to the OXFit podcast.
Well, thanks for having me, Savannah.
Yes, it is so nice to see you. I saw you this morning in our workout, and now we are having a little virtual chat. Is this your first live podcast or podcast at all?
Yes, I've never done a podcast. I've had a couple other speaking engagements like webinars and stuff, but never a one-on-one format like this. So this is kind of exciting.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, I really appreciate you doing this. I love getting on here. I do it, Ant does it. You've probably seen other OXFit videos. We love telling stories, especially the stories of people that we have worked really closely with. And just another story of an OXFit athlete that got amazing results through our coaching program, which is pretty much what we've been up to since the end of March, believe it or not. It's like totally flown by the past, I guess, like 10-ish weeks now. But yeah, let's kick it off. And why don't you just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who Ida is.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. I am Ida. I am an attorney, so that unfortunately/fortunately consumes a huge part of my life. I'm a litigator, so I try cases. I travel around the country for work. I also travel personally, so I feel like I'm perpetually on the go, which can be very fun, but kind of has caught up to me in my middle age now here. But yeah, that's unfortunately most of what I do. It's a little sad. I do a lot of work, but I do have a lot of fun, mostly traveling, like I said, and hanging out and trying to get as much outside time as I can.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, what would you say a typical day in your life was like prior to March 25th, which is when you started with us here at OXFit, or even like a typical week, because I know every day can be like so different for you.
I think even if the days are different, the grind is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Wake up early, immediately, like the weight of all my responsibilities and deadlines. And, I worry about my clients. I worry about my opposing counts. All that kind of like floods in. You get up, you like scrape yourself out of bed. I'd go to work. What that work day looks like depends. It might be catching a flight to go defend a deposition in Memphis. It might be spending the day at the courthouse. It might be sitting in my chair for 12 hours typing a brief. But the constant is that it's going to be a long day and a stressful day. And I'd make it through the day. And then, if I had it in me, I would try to go. Usually I was a cardio girl, still like my cardio. I'd go to Zumba or yoga in the evenings if I wasn't totally drained from work. I'd do that, come home, 8:30, 9 o'clock, struggle to go to bed, calm my stressed out thoughts now that I'm sitting down, finally fall asleep around midnight, and then wake up, rinse, repeat. And that's just kind of what it was until the weekend, at which point it was just, just completely taken over by the exhaustion of the week and just having to catch up on all the stuff I didn't do while I was at work. So,
yeah. So you're a busy lady.
Yeah.
You got a busy life. So like in the midst of all of that, the, crazy schedule that you have because of your job, and then trying to fit in the travel that makes you happy and all of that, like what flipped the switch, or like what made you, first of all, how did you discover OXFit? And then what made you pull the trigger on investing in yourself in a pretty intense way? Because the 8-week coaching program isn't really a casual or passive way to take control of your health and fitness. It's a pretty like deliberate step. So kind of what made that happen for you?
So I'll unpack that a little bit. First, on how I found you guys, it was Google. One thing I have learned about myself over the years is that I'm a creature of convenience, and the farther away a gym is, the easier it is to not go. So if it is right there and down the street, it makes it easy. So I was on Google Maps, looking at Googling gyms near me, private fitness instructors, personal trainers near me, and OXFit was one of the closest geographical locations. It is a 4-minute drive from my house. When the Beltline reopens in 2 or 3 days or whatever, I'll be able to bike there, and it'll probably
Mhm.
still be 4 or 5 minutes from my house. So that's how I kind of found you guys. I didn't have any recommendations. Honestly, I didn't even see, like, I don't think I paid attention to your reviews. I was just like, you know what? This is close. Let me see what this is about.
Mhm.
And then I picked something intense. Well, I didn't shy away from the intense, but what drew me, I think, to OxFit was that I didn't have to think about it. Yes, it's intense, but I don't have to think about like what the workout is. I show up and it gets told to me. I don't have to think about like what are the habits we're working on? What are my nutritional goals? What are my sleep goals? Like you've been really good and you spoon feed it to me, which I really appreciate in this phase of my life because all I do all day is make decisions for other folks. And the last thing I want to do in my own personal life is make decisions. I want things to be done for me. I want the mental load of the exercise, the nutrition, the whole package to kind of be taken away. And that's why I wanted something a little bit more one on one, a little bit more intensive, because I knew I needed that. Because what I was doing
Mhm.
on my own, when left to my own exhausted devices to make the decisions about nutrition, about prioritizing, sleep, about, the last thing I want to do after a 10-hour day of work is go to, Planet Fitness and have to decide not only what my workout set is going to be, but then heaven forbid the machines are busy, having to pivot. That's just like too many steps. And it's so easy for each of those like little resistance points to become a point where you just say, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And so Oxfit, I was really drawn to it because it's sort of, it's there, it's built for me. And it was mine to do with what I needed to.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's what, like, as coaches, we really love about the program too, and we appreciate so much about, clients like you and so many of our clients that one just trust us to like take that off of your shoulders and just know that we know how to build the routine and we know how to stack the habits in a way that works for you because, your fitness routine and your nutrition and your habits were very different than, some of the people working out next to you that I was also working with. So it's so cool to see like such individual approaches, and how that works because it can be challenging to deal with. I've had clients that don't travel for work at all and they eat anything and they, all these things, but we were still able to get such amazing results around your crazy work schedule, lack of sleep, um, not crazy dietary restrictions, but you have some things that like aren't in your diet that we kind of work around. And yeah, the
I'm
past,
vegetarian for anyone
yeah,
if there is an audience. I don't, yeah. So it does limit options, but it's workable
yeah,
and sustainable.
yeah, definitely. Um, so yeah, we've been working together on all those things, like you said, for I guess 10 weeks now. We're kind of in phase two of all our one-on-one coaching. Um, and you've gone from a place of, doing Zumba and yoga to now at least 3 times a week doing some pretty intense like resistance training, strength training, OxFit workouts that we have here in the gym, being super awesome and following your nutrition program and then also just like rolling with it and being okay to do what you can do in the midst of being on a plane twice in one day or twice in 48 hours and traveling in and out of hotels, like all of that going on. And just to kind of rattle off where we are today is you've lost a total of 3 inches between your hips and your waist, averaging 3 day a week workouts, which going from not doing that to then coming to a gym like this 3 days a week is huge. And with new clients, we always do a baseline workout and then we retest that workout in 2 months. And you took over 2 minutes off your time, which is so cool to see that not only are you, getting these great body composition achievements, but you're also getting fitter and stronger in the gym. So how does that make you feel?
Oh, it's great. I really appreciate it. Or like this morning's workout. This was the first workout where I did real actual push-ups and not the modified ones. And I was like so excited about it. It's such a small yet huge thing, because that was a goal of mine. But like, that's something I couldn't do 10 months ago. Wow, 10 weeks ago. And it's honestly, it's those little things. Like, yes, I love the fact that my clothes fit better because I've lost some inches, I've lost a little bit of weight, but it's sort of the softer, sort of intangible things. Like being able to do push-ups. Like I like my grip strength is stronger. And so like the other day I had to heft a huge box out of my car by myself, and like I actually grabbed a hold of it, and it was like not as sketchy as it would have been for me to lift this huge box, because I'm 5 feet tall. So it was giant, but it was much easier than, what it would have been. I went on a trip out to Arizona where we did we did a little bit of bouldering and a little bit of scrambling, and just having that little bit more of strength, not wild, but grip strength, a little bit more upper body, not just strength, but also like, I think awareness is a combination of just like awareness, mobility, better mind muscle connection, better coordination. I mean, I would have had fun regardless, but just noticing that I was like maybe 10% better at it was amazing, and it made me even more enjoy it. And then that's just the physical stuff. I mean, my energy levels are like way up compared to when I started, even though, I'm working out in the mornings before work now, but it's just seeing the change in my energy levels. That to me has been the biggest sort of accomplishment from my first 10 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's what sticks out to me just based on like our check-ins and our conversations has been um definitely talk about energy and just sleep quality. I think has kind of been the biggest thing for you, especially when you don't have a lifestyle where you can guarantee you're going to get to bed at the same time every night and wake up at the same time every morning. But in between that, the sleep that you are getting is so much better. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, or when you started to see that change versus like, from when you started the program, like when did you notice the sleep
Yeah.
starting to get better?
I would say so my 2026 goal of my life, Savannah, was to be less tired. Before you and I met and crossed paths, I cut out caffeine. I've had an Aura ring for about almost 2 years now. And my sleep was a problem, just waking up, having difficulty falling asleep, poor sleep quality, poor REM sleep, and just waking up tired as if I hadn't slept. But you put me on magnesium supplements.
Mm-hmm.
And then part of this is, I would have my occasional evening Zumba workouts, but now my primary weekday workout is mornings. And I think between the combination of the magnesium, it being a morning workout instead of late night cardio, and then honestly, I also think some of it being more strength based and a little bit less cardio, although we do get our heart rates up plenty on our morning classes. I think those combinations within, I would say, the first 10 days or so, my metrics on my Aura app were completely different for sleep. I mean, sleep scores were way better. My resting heart rate is 10 beats per second slower now than it was when I started. And that became evident within the first about month or so, 3 or 4 weeks. My heart rate variability is better. I mean, just overall, my sleep latency, it depends on how stressful my day was. And some days it takes longer for me to fall asleep. But when I do fall asleep, it's deeper, it's harder, it's longer. And the most important thing is I'm waking up still maybe filled with a little bit of existential dread because, I still have to go to work, but I don't feel exhausted anymore. I was really, and part of why I sort of had been chasing fixing my sleep is I spent the last couple of years just always tired, always drained, and always experiencing brain fog, to the point that I went and I got like neurological testing. I was like, do I have long COVID? Do I have early onset dementia? Like, what is going on? I'm fine. Other than a late diagnosis of ADHD, but the brain fog persisted. And honestly, it's this program that has made the fog lift. and I've got more clarity, I've got better focus, and then the energy levels are like through the roof.
Yeah. I think it's just so, yeah, it's crazy what can happen with. I think if we looked at what you were doing for the first 8 weeks, it was so simple. But I think just having someone there every week being like, great job, and again, great job, and again, like, I'm going to see you this week, right? Like, these are the days you're coming. Like, make sure you check off how much sleep you got last night. And I think that's the piece that's missing for so many people, because on paper you could write down we all know what we need to do, but
Mhm.
executing is so hard on your own. And so I think coming into this program, it's not I have no clue what to do, I don't know how to get there, I need someone to tell me. It's I just need help executing and then following through, because
Mhm.
it takes a minute to build a habit, and so sticking with it is not easy.
And having you there as like my accountability buddy is how I consider it, because that motivates me in a way. When I was just operating on my own, it's easy to be like, well, I don't want to go do this, or oh, I don't want to force myself to hit my protein goal, even though I know I need to, especially as a vegetarian. But knowing that I've got you sort of checking my spreadsheets, asking me how I'm doing, keeping me on track, it kind of motivates me. I just needed that. You're not pushy, you're not aggressive, you're not but just knowing you have eyes on me is
Mhm.
like enough of that little bit of push to make me be, a little bit better. And that's really all that I needed. I was doing kind of okay, except maybe on protein consumption before you came into my life. But I needed that little oomph to go from just like okay to like really focusing on my goals.
Yeah. And it's so cool to hear, like, and not even hear, I mean, I see the change and I see how much more energy you have, even though I know the 7:30 a.m. or even 6:30 a.m. sessions are early. Like, the energy you walk into the gym with now is very different than the first couple weeks of the program.
Yes, it's honestly, I was actually, we were preparing for this, I was like reflecting on that this morning, that it's so much easier to make the 7:30 class than it was way back at the end of March. Granted, it was dark and cold when I started, which I think probably also has a little bit to do with it. But it is, I'm not. It's not painful waking up. It's like
Mhm.
honestly, I wake up way before I need to, just naturally before my own alarm, and I'm just kind of like ready to go, ready to see, what challenge I'm going to be thrown at class, and then I get it done, and it's so nice to get it done and out of the way before work and before, I know not everyone works like me, but, everyone's got life and life gets in the way. And I feel like in the mornings, life, it's easier to push life off than it is in the evenings.
Yeah, I mean, I always say, like, people that get the best results, unless you just have like a lot of flexibility, it's those morning workouts make such a difference, because the later that you schedule your workout, every hour the likelihood of something getting in the way is just it's
Mhm.
just going to pile up. So, yeah, if we can get on a schedule of going to bed a little bit earlier and getting up and getting that morning workout, that is like such a game changer for people. Um yeah, so I mean, we're still going, but our initial, 8 weeks, which is probably the biggest adjustment period with this coaching program, that is kind of come and gone. So
Mhm.
what would your advice be for someone maybe that's like you, maybe just a young professional that feels like they're too tired to add something else onto their plate? They've got too much going on to add another task or responsibility. What would your advice be to them if they wanted to make a change to their health and fitness?
Life's never going to get easier or slower. So don't wait for the perfect time. I've kind of fallen into that trap because I always have a trial on the schedule, or I'm traveling or whatever. And I always say, well, life's going to be quieter and I'm going to get in the gym next month. And the next month happens, and then there's whatever shenanigans going on, whatever craziness on my calendar. And I say, well, next month. And the next thing I know, I'm in my mid 30s with a little bit of pudge, feeling tired, slow, and weak. And, I feel like, I don't want to say half my life has gone away, but a decade went away. And then I was just like, I blinked. So I encourage folks, like, don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for the convenient time. If you feel like you need to go ahead and make the change and you're interested, go ahead and do it. And my experience with you, and I'm sure it's the same with the other coaches, is that it was very manageable. Hard, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of work. There is a lifestyle change. You do have to work and sweat and put the effort in to get the results. But I think you eased me into it by starting out with just building habits, making sure that I show up. At first, it was just tracking what I was eating and not even going into modifying what I was eating. And just, and then once we kind of got a handle on that, it was minor little tweaks. And then once we got a handle on that, a couple more tweaks, and then a couple more tweaks. And so it's these little building blocks. So I caution folks that this isn't like a 0 to 100 program. You come in, Savannah, Lauren, whoever at OXFit, they're going to build something that works with your life and takes your life into consideration and your various factors. Like I travel a lot, but some people have kids, or, they can't cook for whatever reason, or they're in a mixed diet household, or, whatever. Or they've got injuries or other limitations. And I think that y'all do a really good job of accommodating folks and easing people in a way that makes it really approachable and doable. And the sort of final note on this is, don't be scared of intensity. And this kind of goes back to what I said, like, the work is there and you've got to do it, but the decision making is gone. So to me, it's like, I've outsourced the mental load of my nutrition and my fitness. I just have to show up and do it, and do a little bit of meal prep and eat it. And that's really it. And that is so much less work than me trying to do it and figure it out myself, even though, yes, I know I can do it, but that's just not where my headspace is these days. So I encourage folks that, if you're interested, try it. 8 weeks flies by. And then see where you're at. You might have such good results. You keep on the way I have.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And I mean, just like you said, 8 weeks has flown by, and in that 8 weeks, you still had however many work trips. I lost count. You went to South Korea. You went hiking and bouldering. Like, your life didn't stop. Like, all of this happened in the midst of everything that was going on, and that's true for every person. So I love that you said don't wait for things to calm down, because they don't. And also, that's not realistic. Like, you now have the tools, and you kind of know how to operate when you are out of town and still enjoy yourself and do the things that you want to do without coming back home and being like, oh, I got to get back in shape. Like, I don't think you're ever going to have to say that again, because you just are.
Yeah, no, it's definitely changed my psyche and my approach. I mean, I was finding protein shakes in Seoul, South Korea, and it was a little bit of a fun daily adventure figuring out what weird flavors. I found like a honeydew melon flavored one, a sweet potato flavored one, and just like finding little ways to move when I'm stuck in the courthouse all day. And it's really just changed my mentality. And I don't feel like I have to be on, or like I've been put on this like restrictive diet, or that I have to absolutely do this stuff. There is still this core of, I think, flexibility that to me has made it very easy to kind of transition to a much more long-term approach, instead of looking at it at this like 8-week intensive video or 8-week intensive period. But now this is sort of habits that I'm building upon that I can keep going on kind of indefinitely, as I view it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we want for people. And we say that, this isn't a program. You're never going to have to do the 8 weeks again. Like, the goal is that you get to the end and you're able to just keep growing and just keep continuing to live a healthier and more fulfilling life every day. You're never going to come back to us a year from now and be like, I got to hit that 8-week program again. I gained all the weight back, or I stopped doing all that stuff. No, we want this to be stuff that you kind of just do without thinking about it. And it's just your life and the way you live now. Great. Well, yeah, I think we're getting close to our time, but I loved having you on, Ida, and thank you so much for telling us about your story and sharing about your 8 weeks. And I love that we're continuing to work together. And yeah, we're going to keep training Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7:30 a.m.
Yep. Yep. Thanks for having me, Savannah. And thanks for keeping me accountable and really giving me some really good tools to build on.
Of course. Well, I will see you in the gym. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you're interested in completing the 8-week program or getting results like Ida, you can email me, sav@ox.fit, or visit our website, www.ox.fit. Thank you, Ida.
Bye.